The Bahamas Tonight Northern Edition starts now.
This is the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition. Good evening, all. I'm Shashina Rolf-Farquharson. As always, it is so great to have you with us. Topping news this evening, a timeline has been set for work to begin on Walker's Key in the Abacos. Walker's Key was once a thriving community, but it was badly damaged by hurricane a few years ago. And now, new developers say they have a plan to restore the small key. Jamila Mizik reports.
Walker's Key owner Carl Allen sharing his love for the Bahamas and his plans for one of the Bahamas' most popular keys. The entrepreneur in the plastics industry says he first came to the Bahamas at the age of 12, and after seeing Walker's Key for the first time, he promised himself that when he got older, he would purchase the key. His dream became a reality when he purchased the key last year.
Last April, we closed on it from a family, the Applin-Apps, who owned it exactly to the day 50 years later. And I can tell you, we've just spent the last few days there. We're underway. The marina has all been demolished, the old marina, and we're now underway with the new marina and, of course, channel restoration, as we like to call it. We hope to have the marina open mid-April, tax day of next year.
Allen says he is thrilled to be able to work with Bahamian companies, particularly one big company out of Freeport that's working on the marina, as well as about 20 individuals employed from Little Grand Key. He says he plans to get Little Grand Key's employment rate lower than it is.
Want to be part of the future. We're going to be a big part of it with Walkers. We believe that it's the gateway that's been shut down for way too long. Everybody coming over to the Abacos, coming to Eleuthera, coming to the Exumas, they go right by us. And I think I've got the town of Little Grand really fired up to really make that happen.
Allen adding that he will be providing updates via their website and sharing his plans for hopes to bring Walker's Key to life.
We hope that we'll be full blast, bring the fishing tournaments back, a lot of weddings. We've been astounded by how many people got married out there. And so we want to bring that back. One of the first things we're doing is the church. And we're going to build a small hotel, a bunch of villas, a little spa there. And just bear with us, a little time and a little money, and it'll happen. And it's going to be a great thing when we open up the gateway back in the Bahamas.
Jamila Mizik, ZNS Network News.
In other news, it is a big investment in the Freeport area, and it is being touted as another example of faith in an economy that is on the rebound. This investment in the small business sector is being welcomed with open arms. Megan Shepard has that report.
An exciting ribbon-cutting ceremony happening on Grand Bahama to officially open the new KMW Plaza. The renovation and expansion project, some years in the making, injecting over $800,000 into the local economy. Owners Michael Jones and Keith McCartney grateful to see their vision coming to life.
The vision that we had in the year 2004, when we first purchased this building, is to one day turn it into a plaza where the community of Grand Bahama will have another option to operate their business from if they choose to. And today we are proud to say we have accomplished that. Even though the road was a bit rough, for those of you who know about construction, know about building, how tough it is, but we were excited what we wanted to do, and so we continue to keep our focus and our vision.
We grew up in high school, very close. I was skeptical about partnerships, but I must say we've never had an argument, never a disagreement, because our personalities are basically the same. We believe in service, about helping people, and I think that's what it's all about. So we just want to say thank you for coming.
Minister of State for Grand Bahama, Senator The Honorable Kwesi Thompson, congratulating the partners for demonstrating their commitment to the island of Grand Bahama. He notes that their investor confidence speaks volumes to the vision of the government to strengthen small and medium-sized businesses. The plaza currently houses several businesses, but he is also encouraging budding entrepreneurs to take advantage of the empty shop spaces.
Over the years, the partners have been able to provide employment through KMW Battery Tire and Abaco Battery Tires Laundry and Gas, and engage various local contractors and achieve the dream of this plaza. The KMW Plaza now houses several entities, such as Mulligan's Meat and Spices, 2 beauty supply stores, a church, and a section of Tareve College. Among these are 5 vacant units, which we hope will not be vacant for much longer.
Member of Parliament for Pine Ridge, Frederick McAlpine, commending the duo for targeting the average resident in this business venture. He adds that their efforts to build the island of Grand Bahama over the years is greatly appreciated.
Your efforts is showing us that you have hope and that you believe in Grand Bahama and you believe in the community. I want to thank you for giving us a service that particularly caters to the average man. You yourself having recognized that tires at the times were very expensive and that you felt that it was not catering to the average man. We need more of that.
Following the blessing by Pastor Frank Hagan, the ribbon was officially cut and attendees were allowed to tour the plaza. Artwork in the space was created by various high school students who participated in a recent competition by KMW. Megan Shepard, ZNS Network News.
Switching gears now, ARCA, the Utilities Regulation and Competition Authority, taking its education town meeting to the Foster B. Pastina Center last night. And for those in attendance, questions surrounding the GB Power Company and the role of ARCA as a regulator dominated much of the discussion. Megan Shepard was there.
CEO Stephen Barreau emphasizing to residents in attendance that these series of meetings are in an effort to extend their reach throughout the islands of the Bahamas. He admits that ARCA has lost touch somewhat with what is happening outside of New Providence. He says the regulatory body plans to travel throughout the rest of the family islands to make sure their presence is felt.
We've looked at the islands in the context of the population, our stakeholders on those islands, and we're seeking to find ways to engage more strongly, more significantly outside of New Providence. As most people will be aware through the press and elsewhere, we have had challenges within Grand Bahama in relation to the impact of the Freeport area and the Hawksbill Creek Agreement on ARCA's jurisdiction as defined in the law. We, however, have taken the view that we have a responsibility to people throughout the Bahamas, as the legislation says. And in fact, the legislation specifically includes the port area in Grand Bahama. What decisions may be made by courts as we go forward will be determined, and that will all happen in time. But in the meantime, ARCA considers ourselves as having an obligation to regulate all or both of the sectors we regulate throughout the Bahamas, including Grand Bahama and the Port area.
Barreau explains what that means going forward.
What that means is that we have decided that we are going to take those steps that we can, or those steps that we should, and we will address the realities of the legal proceedings as they come. We are not going to be held back, so we are here to engage with the population in Grand Bahama, not only on the electronic communication sector, which is reasonably stable in terms of the jurisdictional issues, but also on the electricity sector. We have designed a work plan, but obviously because of the history, it's been primarily focused on New Providence and the rest of the Bahamas. We feel it's necessary for us to be here to hear from you on how we should approach or those parts of our mandate.
Now, during the question and answer period, most residents had concerns regarding the electricity sector. Some felt that residential rates are too high, while others said that even when they cut back, bills remain the same. Others pointed out that they believe they have lost electronics and appliances due to power surges, but could not come to an amicable agreement with the power company. One resident suggested that ARCA employ qualified persons to conduct home inspections on behalf of the regulator.
So we have to change how we operate, and I agree with you. I want to say that we have not heard the need for inspections and for people who can come out, qualified, suitably qualified people, and that can take time. Just getting suitably qualified people, but also setting up the framework under which those suitably qualified people can go into the field and come into your home and inspect, and do so in a way that the power company cannot object or challenge the decisions that these people have made. Our process is designed the way it is because what we do, we don't have a rule that says the power company shouldn't damage your equipment. What we have a rule that says they have to deliver power of a particular type. And they have that responsibility to you because you have a contract with them. So as Mr. Cambridge mentioned and Mrs. Johnson-Colley mentioned, the first step has to be you go to them.
Megan Shepard, ZNS Network News.
Well, the government is getting some assistance in its quest to implement cutting-edge technology in schools throughout the country. This morning, a foreign investor made the commitment during a press conference at the office of the Prime Minister. Here's Jamila Mizik with this report.
The government investing some $17 million into digitizing schools in hopes of moving the education system toward the 21st century. With a generous donation from American businessman Carl Allen and his wife Gigi, the Ministry of Education is issuing hundreds of tablets into schools, including those on Grand Bahama. Allen, the new owner of Walker's Key, says it was after government officials visited his home Texas and discussed interests of making Grand Bahama a technology hub. He and his wife had the idea to donate tablets to Bahamian schools.
We want to continue this program. I've got a soft place in my heart for Grand Bahama and the Abacos and Eleuthera, well, hell, the whole Bahamas. and so we thought, well, let's start here in Grand Bahama. And I thought, boy, if the government would ever match us, we're going to have double that impact. And so when we sent that letter, we were just ecstatic when we heard back that you were going to match us. And now I think with, almost 3,000 that'll be out there, will make a huge impact. And when I was visiting, we followed up a couple of times with these schools to see, 3-year-olds navigating and doing letter and number games. That's the epitome of why we're doing this.
Minister of State for Grand Bahama, the Honorable Kwesi Thompson, says the government is pleased with the Allens' contribution. He says this initiative is the government's way of touching the lives of young Bahamian students.
Today, we will be able to see those hundreds of young people benefit from the use of technology that they would not have had and would not have been exposed to before, particularly in the educational sector.
The minister, reiterating the government's vision of making Grand Bahama a tech hub, says in moving forward, it's important to train young persons with technology skills.
What is happening here today is so important because if we are truly going to develop ourselves, we have to have the necessary human capacity and skills in our young people to be able to offer ourselves to be a part of this technology hub. The government has taken digitization with respect to our schools very seriously. It is a high priority for us. As the Permanent Secretary has indicated, $17 million is being spent throughout the country, and Grand Bahama is again a top priority, and where all of those schools are going to be smart schools, digitized, so that the internet access is going to be top-notch, that the use of the tablets that are going to be provided are going to be enhanced because of the whole digitization process that has taken place at the schools.
Director of Education Marcellus Taylor adding that the Ministry of Education is seeking to create an educational environment to reflect the 21st century life.
An educational environment that has the digital capacity to operate the way students are expected to operate in this time. But what we want to be very clear on is that we don't just see it as important to have the technology in the schools, just to say that we have the technology in the schools. We want those technologies to be in the schools to facilitate teaching and learning that prepares students for life in the 21st century.
Schools like West End Primary, Morrismore Primary, and Grand Key All-Age School have already received a generous donation of tablets. Jamila Mizik, ZNS Network News.
Stay with us. There's more news right after the break.